Hello everyone. Today we're going to be doing a prime cut whole packer brisket that I got from Creekstone Farms. For those of you who aren't aware, it's the same supplier as Aaron Franklin's restaurant. Not that I'm really trying to go down that path, but if it's good enough for him, it's going to be good enough for me. And right now, with the price of meat the way it is at any of your big box stores, actually this ended up costing just as much, and I might as well go for this, right? I actually caught this one on sale. It was $108. So not bad at all. So let's get into it and see how it looks. Well, I guess before I open it, I can see the marbling looks awesome and the color is great. The fat cap is really nice. Not bad at all. So it comes like this, vacuum sealed, with some ice packs and in a couple different kind of coolers. I think 2 coolers, so not bad. When I'm trimming a brisket, I gotta open it out of here. What I'll do is I just cut it right there, because you're not gonna hurt that. We're cutting that out here in a minute anyway. Just kind of run down like that. I try to leave it like this, like kind of like a bag, so that I don't just flip and get the juice everywhere. Sometimes that's still easier said than done. If you watched my previous video with the seasoning, you can see that I'm not always the best at containing messes. So, but I do try. Just doesn't always show through. Anyway, yeah, this looks good. Looks real good. Very little bit of silver skin just right here and here. I don't know if this angle would be easier for you guys to see. Not too bad at all. It has great marbling, not a lot of surface fat. And really, even, I don't know if this will show, but you know, you can get the briskets where they're real dark along the edges from just the processing, and this isn't even really all that bad. Not a lot of damage or anything on it. The flat is thick. I mean, you're always gonna have the thin right here, but overall, this is gonna be nice. I think you'll end up with less waste out of a brisket like this. So let's start trimming. I like to start with this. Just get this out of the way because I'm gonna end up taking it anyway. So I don't really worry as much about digging stuff out. If I can, I will. This one doesn't feel like it wants to separate quite as well. So I'll make some slices along the way here, but mostly just try to keep it so that I get a plain level surface for the cooking. This isn't going to render, and actually it doesn't feel like it's that much deeper, so let's see. Yeah, it's not too bad. Don't really want to leave anything this thick if you can help it anyway, because it's just, you're not going to render it at all, and it's just gross. So you can, there are times, however, and I did mention this, and with these videos, especially since I'm doing them in segments, I'm going to try to answer some questions that I've been asked in the other videos as well, if I can answer them for you guys rather than type them out. So there have been times where I make a decision on leaving something in rather than taking it out, just because I got to think about how that's going to go through the cook. If I sit here and I carve and carve and carve this out, what's going to happen is everything's going to flow and then I'm going to get a puddle, and this isn't going to be good anyway. So what's the point in going through all of that if it's not going to come out where you can use it? One thing I do find though when I'm trimming these, especially if you're someone, I mean, this isn't for sale or anything like that, so I'm not in a competition, so you don't have to worry too much, or at least I don't, about it coming out perfect looking. But if you do want to get the silver skin off, which I do recommend, especially for the seasoning to penetrate through and really give you flavor, you do want to get this silver skin off. But this grain runs this way, and you want to go with the grain when you're cutting, so you don't end up with any kind of gouges, and it just makes it come off a little easier, and a trick of picking it up helps out quite a bit. Also the knife you're using, you get a nice thin knife that's got a little bit of flex to it. That makes it a lot easier as well, and keeping it sharp. But for the most part, you know, you can smooth this out as much or as little as you want. Like, I wouldn't waste too much time down here, because you know that when it comes to the trimming this later, I'm gonna end up coming through. I don't know if that's gonna show, but you know, it gets real thin here. I'm gonna end up coming through anyway, so I won't worry so much about cleaning this up. So if you see me skip over, that's why. I'm right-handed, And with the grain running this way, it just seems to be a little easier for me at the moment to just hold it like this and trim it. So sorry, you might be missing a little bit of it, but you get the point. Like I said, this is for home, so I'm not going to go too crazy with it. I want to look at the other side. Depends. I jump around a lot just because I'm all over the place anyway. So I guess we could right now. This has a decent shape to it. I don't have a lot to do, but I think I'm going to do, and I don't know if you'll see this, but here's where that fat was. I think I'm gonna kind of just follow, because there's a thick line right here that just goes right along that edge, but it actually kind of shapes to look decent. And this doesn't feel like there's gonna be a ton of usable meat here anyway. So I would rather take it off. And if I cut too much, and I mean, it would be too much in terms of if I take too much off, and it turns into like a little bit of a smaller brisket, I don't mind because I grind this stuff up anyway, like the trimming. So for me, it also kind of doesn't make that big of a difference because I can't eat 15 pounds of brisket by myself or my family would. So yeah, it was not too, I didn't lose too much. I mean, you lost a little bit here, but look at that. That was mostly, that's all just fat right there, and there's some meat here, but still mostly fat, but it'll still work out good for our grinding pile. And it started to give me a decent shape here. Let's see if I can get some of this out of the way of the direction I want this to go. The other thing I'll probably do, you don't want a lot of sharp edges just because they'll burn off. So if you hold it at an angle and kind of just go along, it'll start to smooth out. And you got my son in the background, so sorry. I have not yet got a microphone, so you're gonna pick up some background noises, unfortunately. But that's life. So this here is part of another muscle, or it's where they separated it. And I still gonna have to trim through here anyway. I don't know if you'll see it. I'm gonna try to show it to you, but it kind of hangs over all this. So that's gonna end up coming off, and we're gonna start making our way to a point. So back to where I said I didn't cut out and groove all of that fat out, because that line right in here that I just cut, I think I'm gonna use that same line, and that's where we're gonna round and come around here and get rid of this stuff, get rid of this. But this is all good to save. It'll come out really well for brisket burgers or sausages, whatever it is that you would want to use it for. So let's get this kind of laid back out and start thinking about how this is going to be on the grill. And I am going to just kind of come around here like so. Like, sorry, right-handed, I know you're probably missing quite a bit of it. And I'm trying actually to go at so when it was all together, I don't want to go straight down and make a wall. I'm trying to actually go like this, angle here, so that it cups the bottom a little bit. So hopefully, if I'm planning this all the way that I think I am, that's what we'll get. So far, so good. And I did not start with a super sharp knife, apparently, even though I sharpened it ahead of time. So this is taking me a few more than I would like. This is why you want a sharp knife, so that you're not doing all of what I'm doing. This is really good meat. I mean, look at the marbling in there. This is probably actually part of the point of the brisket. This so much here, that's not. This is coming from somewhere else, and then this is just nasty. I mean, it's meat, but you're not gonna want to. You don't want to cook. I mean, this is going to take forever to try to trim all around all of this. So this goes to the grind pile. Like I said, this will make awesome hamburgers. So not too bad. Like, you could go crazy with it. It's up to you how much you want to sit here and cut and shape and cut and shape and cut and shape. That's all on you. Like I said, for the videos and really just throughout the house. There's no presentation involved in this. I'm fine with this right here. So I'm gonna flip it over now and start taking a look at what we need to do here. I'm gonna have quite a bit of fat. What I'll do is it's gonna get real thick here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'll do like a line here, like so. And then I will come in and then go straight across. And that is all fat. In terms of how far back, like even on this one that I just did, I can see I could maybe gone a little further back because it's gonna be pretty much, this got a thick line of fat. So with the way the trimming goes anyway, if you do this and you scoop that out, you're always gonna end up with this hunk here, and you want things to be as flat as possible for the cook, especially because this is the side that you're gonna be cooking facing up anyway. So at this point, I just go ahead and I'll just take this off, just get it out of the way. But don't throw it away. You are gonna lose some meat on this, but you'll be surprised. It's not what you would think. So look at that. This whole piece looks like you're taking off a ton of meat because you're like, oh, it feels soft and everything, but when you actually look at it, that's literally 50% fat, at least 50%, if not even a little bit more. You're not gonna want that. So grind pile. Did I say with the grind piles too, that I make, is you still don't want that much fat. When you go to the grocery store and you pick up hamburger, they have the percentages on it for a reason. I mean, this is probably more fat than meat. Now we're starting to get more of that brisket shape. We don't have the hump so much. I'm gonna go ahead and start just cleaning it up at this point. Go ahead and take off this edge here, just shaping wise. Kind of keep it out nice and flat looking at it. This little gash here, you get that from time to time, that's just from processing, but this one actually didn't make it all the way through. So not too bad. The thing we're gonna have to watch on this though is because they did this, things are gonna wanna cool and we're not gonna get the bark on it, but no big deal. Sorry, it's gonna look like I'm hacking a lot, but mostly my fault for the dull knife. Actually, it's all my fault. So that, just don't want very much just hanging off if I can help it. All right, so we're gonna look at now trimming this down to about 1/4 inch. You can see there's some thicker spots here. This is a pretty good thick spot. If you're kind of wondering where to stop, just when you purchase one, like here, you guys can see clearly how thick that is. But when I touch it, this is hard, rock hard. Like I can't push in. Here, I can feel the meat underneath. That's when you can start to feel it like that, like you're close to the surface. That's really about where you want. So for this even isn't that bad right here. This is soft. See that? It's pliable, soft. This not so much. So I'll probably start right about here, and I can feel, because I'm pushing, it goes to about here, this piece. So we're gonna go ahead and trim that down. And that's still all fat. And now I can still feel that's a little bit on the thick side. Let me take this to the end here. Not gonna worry so much about that end. Now I will. Well, I'll worry about it later because we're gonna still have to trim the edge off. A little thick here. Go ahead and bring it in some. All right, so overall, I'm gonna take and round this, which is where I'm gonna get, it's still just a little thick about this part here, but with me rounding this off so that I don't have this sharp edge, because we've made straight cut and straight cut, it brings this to a point. I'll flip it. Brings this to a point, right? This whole edge to a point. So I would like to get rid of that point, and in doing so, I'm gonna also try and get a little bit more of this here. There's really no right or wrong way to do any of this. It's just up to you guys. Just showing you how I do it. Sometimes I do better than other times, to be honest with you. This one, it's okay. Done better, done worse. But you get the idea. Nothing's perfect, and you know, if I sit here all day and keep looking at it and moving it around and touching it and staring. And I can make changes all day, and then by the time I'm done making changes, there's nothing left to cook. So now we're at that point where I want to shape the end. My kind of rule of thumb, and it's easy to remember, rule of thumb is about as width of a thumb. So where the meat starts to get about as thick there as your thumb, that's where I like to kind of make the cut. Here, that's gonna be right about here. So like a little magic, you can even trace it with the knife if you want. I'm gonna go to about here. See, and then me looking again. Get rid of that a little bit there. Anyway, we'll go to about there. So I'll do like not an actual cut, but just something like that so I can get an idea. And it will leave a line so you can kind of follow along, and we'll get rid of all of that. By the time the trimming is done, you're probably not looking at much more than a 10 to 12 pound brisket. Yeah. But like I said, the meat's good. This is kind of be more like your restaurant style, how they would trim. And I like to say I'll go through here and just start to kind of round these edges off. It'd be a little easier if I had a sharp knife, but you know, we're cooking at home. You know, this isn't a competition. And if this were a competition, you would go way crazier than this, way crazier. So overall, you know, you can go through here and from where I've been moving it around and kind of kick some of this stuff off. It's not really gonna be that big of a deal. Some of the stuff that's sticking up, you can get rid of that. Just kind of, I like to do a little final look through of the main stuff, but again, problem is too is, oh, another little trick like I'm running into, the longer you leave it out, since especially because I'm going a little slower with the talking, this starts to, and the more you sit here and go like this and massage it and handle it, the temperature of your hands warms up the fat. That also kind of doesn't help with the knife. I don't care how sharp the knife is, it'll start to become a problem. Overall, this is fine. It's not perfect, but it's got a good shape. We got all of the things that are gonna burn off. It's pretty decently rounded. No real sharp edges to speak of. Flip it over on this side, take a look here. See that looks pretty good. I also did get a flat from there as well. Those were on sale. I'm not gonna trim or do a video of trimming that so much, but as you can see, the flat here now and the brisket I have here are real similar. I don't know if you can't see. They're real similar in size. By the time I get done trimming this, it's obviously gonna be smaller as well, you know, like this section of it here. But I think I'm gonna try something different on this rather than the same way I always do a brisket, just to see how that comes out. So.